My name is Selena Winter. I work in Microsoft Worldwide Learning, and I oversee our certification program. So you have come to the right place today if you want to hear more about the great announcements that we're making as it relates to certification. We're going to do a general overview of our certification program and the training that aligns to that. And then at the end of my presentation today, you will hear a lot more about opportunities to go much deeper into specific certification areas and about ways you can learn more. So hang in till the end and we'll get you started off in the right direction. Before I start into the presentation today, I'd like to just ask you to share with me how many of you in the audience have ever held a Microsoft certification or taken an exam? Okay, so I've got the seasoned crew here today, and so I'm going to guess that most of you are here to hear a little bit more about the changes that we've announced here this week. Okay, and if you don't know we are making changes this week, then you're definitely in the right place. I'm going to spend just a minute talking about why I think it is that I see more people than ever interested in certification. And that is kind of one simple word, the cloud. I know you all know what's going on with the cloud, so I'm certainly not going to spend time on that. But what I will share with you is that more than ever, we are hearing from our customers, and that would be corporations and organizations as well as individuals. We are hearing from everyone, Microsoft, how is it you're going to help me take advantage of these opportunities that are available in the cloud? And so I thought I'd share with you today just how vast we think that opportunity is and just how important we think it is to help you all get skilled up, or if you're a manager, to help you get your team skilled up. And that is because per IDC study that was done recently, we know that 70% of CIOs have a cloud-first strategy already on their plan books. And not only that, but 85% of enterprises are planning to have a cloud infrastructure. And yet, in stark contrast to that, most of those organizations do not have the skills or the processes in place to get to the cloud or to get into the cloud in a bigger way. In fact, only 16% of organizations say that they have the skills available. And we think at Microsoft, that skills gap in the cloud, particularly if you think about areas like data and AI, is only going to get larger because the increase in cloud-related jobs is growing at a faster pace than almost any other job category there is out there. And so what that means for you, if you're an individual interested in certification, or for your organization, is a lot of opportunity. So what is it that Microsoft is doing today to help make sure that you're ready to take advantage of that opportunity? Well, first and foremost, we're actually pivoting to role-based certifications. How many of you have heard about some of the certification announcements that we've been making here this week? Okay, great. So we're actually evolving our certification to be more role-based. We're looking at your companies and job postings out there, and we're trying to identify the jobs and the skills that people are looking for. And then we're organizing those in job roles as they relate to different Microsoft technologies, and we're going to talk about that more in just a minute. We are also more focused than ever on how do we make sure that our training is aligned to those job roles, so that whether or not you want to get certified or you just want to get skilled up, you're getting skilled up in those key skills that we think you need for that role. And then finally, we're investing quite a bit in how to help you show up better, how to get you recognized in your organizations, or if you're looking at another opportunity outside your organization, how we help you show up to get recognized. So let's spend just a minute on role-based. What is it that I mean by role-based, and why on earth are we doing that? Well, as I've mentioned actually in a couple of presentations this week, we actually see jobs coming on board, and many of you probably do as well, that didn't even exist 3 years ago. There are job listings there for things that, frankly, sometimes I don't even understand. And so as you think about how do we pivot our certification program to really thrive in a situation like that, and how do we ensure that the investment that you make is something that doesn't get changed but is actually on course to actually just evolve. So we also see a real specialization, particularly on Azure. Azure is such a broad thing, so we can't just certify you in Azure. There's just too much. And so as we think about what are those specialized areas that people need to be trained and certified in, we felt like job role was the way to go. And then finally, we also hear from you, we want more hands-on experiences in our training and in our certification. We want to use the technology as part of our training experience, and we want to use that technology, if possible, when we prove our skills. So in case you haven't heard yet this week, we're announcing certifications and related training for 6 new job roles at Microsoft. And don't worry if you don't see your area on this. We will have many more to come in the next calendar year. 3 of these job roles are actually available now for certification and training. Azure Administrator is actually out of beta, so you could get trained and you could actually go sit for those exams now and become certified in that. Azure Developer and Azure Architect both have training and beta certification exams available. And then finally, Azure DevOps will have training and certification coming later this year. If Microsoft 365 is your space, then we have 2 job roles to share with you today. They are the first of many that will be coming. One is the Modern Desktop Administrator, so that's Windows 10 and all the things that kind of go along with Windows 10, like Intune and those sorts of things, some of the security-related items. And then we have an Enterprise Administrator certification, which is kind of the next evolution of the Microsoft or the Office 365 certification that we have in market now. I mentioned also that we're really focused on aligned experiences. For some of you who have been certified, and I know that's most of the people in the audience, you might have found it a little difficult and maybe even a little frustrating to find exactly the training you needed from Microsoft to prepare for your certification or to just skilled up. We are really doubling down at Microsoft this year and going forward on how to make sure that if we're identifying job roles, if we're identifying the skills you need, that we have multiple ways to help get you prepared for that, and how we make sure training is aligned to certification so that you can work on both of those things simultaneously. And I want to spend just a minute on how we do that, because I think it will give you more confidence as you think about getting certified that we are using industry information and real world SMEs to help make sure that we are giving you the training and we are certifying you on the things that you need. So we have an internal process we call a job task analysis. Really, you don't have to care that it's called a job task analysis. What I really want you to understand is we spend now a lot of time looking at, as I said, at what jobs are available. What is it people are hiring for? What are the skills that are listed in those job listings? And we then identify those job roles I mentioned, and then we bring in subject matter experts from outside the company and inside the company. So I'm going to say that again, because people think we probably sit in a room and do this on our own. We bring in subject matter experts from outside the company and inside, people that are doing these tasks every day. And we say to them, if we were going to certify someone in one of these job roles as an Azure administrator or as a developer in Azure or in M365 or in server, what are the skills that they need? And from that process, we actually create this huge list of master skills. And many of you in a particular job role probably do a lot of those skills. You may not do all of them, but the idea is for someone to be an expert in a domain area in a particular job role. We want you to have an idea of how to do those things. We also create a learning path. And then after that learning path is complete, that actually sets the stage for all the training and all the certification that we create aligned to those job roles. And so if we take a deeper look at what the types of training are that will be available to you, first is micro-learning. How many of you heard the announcement of Microsoft Learn here this week? Okay, great. Maybe not as many as you as I would have hoped. We actually have a new micro-learning platform available from Microsoft. It is designed to give you modules and then modules that roll up to courses and courses that roll up to paths to help you actually get skilled up, first starting with Azure and Dynamics 365, and then including other areas as well. So if you haven't checked out Microsoft Learn, be sure to go down to the immersion zone, which is in Hall Z, and get your Hall C, and get your hands on that. We also have, in addition to the micro-learning, which are those kind of short bits of training at a time, deeper, more structured learning in the form of online courses and instructor-led courses. And those types of courses are available through our Microsoft Learning partners. So if you want to have kind of a more structured learning experience, either online or in a class, or you maybe want to have kind of those things merged together, so you have a little bit of expert instruction in the classroom and then you do some online, that is how you'll prepare for your certification or just get skilled up in general going forward. And then we also have, someone asked this question in my last session, what about old-fashioned books? We actually even have old-fashioned books, although admittedly most of those old-fashioned books are at least online. They've been digitized. But we do have books, exam refs that will align to certification. In addition to helping you get prepared for certification, I mentioned that we want to make sure that you are recognized for the investment. We realize when you decide to get certified, you're making an investment of your time and your money. Or if you're a manager here today, we understand you're making an investment sometimes in the money of your money from your company, and also in lost opportunity cost. So we want to honor that by helping you get prepared and actually helping you share what it is that you can do. So let's take a look at what some of these paths look like. I mentioned that we are announcing new Azure job roles, and that's going to be a 3-level certification architecture going forward. Something that we're adding new that probably most of you in this audience don't need since you're already certified, but you may have colleagues across your business that do, is a new Azure Fundamentals certification. So this is meant to be a baseline certification that will actually help people really understand the breadth of Azure. It is technical, but not nearly as technical as the other certifications that we're going to be talking about. So if you have folks, maybe even across your business, salespeople or consultants that may benefit from learning more about Azure, that's the kind of certification that they would be looking for. In addition, we're introducing new certifications for Azure Administrator and Azure Developer. As I mentioned when we discussed the job roles, these are associate level certifications. So this is probably the level at which most of you would start to think about becoming certified. Each of those certifications that you see there are 2 exam certifications. So for Azure Administrator and Azure Developer, you would actually take 2 exams and then you would be certified in those areas. And as I pointed out, there are actually more roles to come in the associate level in other areas like security and things like that. We're also introducing new expert level certifications. We actually have a new Azure Architect. As I was going around before the presentation today, a couple of folks said they were interested in this one. That is also a 2-exam certification. 1 exam is technical and 1 exam is design. And then finally, we do have a new DevOps engineer certification that will be coming out before the end of this year. And because this is a new architecture, let me just kind of share with you how to think about the lines that you see on the screen. Starting with fundamentals, I would share with you that that is an optional certification. So you do not need to take that certification if it is not the right place for you to start. That's why you see the dotted lines there leading to the other certifications. For Azure Architect, there is no prerequisite certification. So you'll need to judge on your own if you're ready to sit an expert level certification completely out of the chute. And I mentioned there's a technical exam and a design exam that you'll have to think about there. If I look at the associate space, if you want to move on to DevOps, you actually will need to be a certified administrator or a certified developer, either or, not both, to then go and sit for your DevOps exam. And the combination of one of those underlying certifications and the DevOps exam will actually mean, if you pass, that you'll be certified in DevOps. We also have some new Microsoft Office 365 certifications to announce here at the show. The first level of certification that we're announcing here is the associate level, and this is the Modern Desktop Administrator. I'm sure if you're in this space, you've heard a lot about what Microsoft is doing technology-wise with a modern desktop technology. So we actually have a new certification that actually will be for that space. One exam in that will be a Windows 10 exam, and the other exam will cover other areas, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation. And we have the old more roles to come here, because we're really only announcing things that will be available for the end of this calendar year. I don't want to kind of give you the things that are way out and have you wonder, oh, when is that going to come? I will say that if you work in the Microsoft 365 space, you might imagine the workloads that are in that area. So you can imagine the other types of technologies that we'll be identifying job roles for, and then we'll be adding those certifications as well. And then we have a new expert level Microsoft 365 certification. If you actually today are certified in this space, maybe you have an MCSA in Office or an MCSE in this space, this will be a big change to how we've been thinking about things because of all the changes in how we think about Microsoft 365, not just Office, but the desktop and the number of other things that we put in that space, like security now, to make up the Microsoft 365 suite of products. We actually have bumped that to an expert level certification. And so to achieve Microsoft 365, you actually would take one of the associate level certifications, and then you would sit for the Microsoft 365, which will be a 2-exam certification as well. So it would be the combination of the associate level and those new exams that would prepare you. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive now into how we're thinking about that preparation and all the training that I mentioned earlier. So what you'll start to see on our Microsoft Learning website is a real connection between training and certification going forward. You won't have to go to one place and find training and another to find certification. You'll actually start to see things like this, more where we share with you, here's the job role, here's the training available for that job role, and then here are the certifications that are available for that job role. And so by doing that, we think it helps you better focus on exactly what's right for you and helps better prepare you for certification. And so what I'm showing here really are just the courses that would ladder up to preparing you for this certification. Those courses might be available on the Microsoft Learn platform. They might be available also in our online structured kind of MOOC type testing, as well as instructor-led training available from our learning partners. And you could choose to take some of it online or some of it in person. It would be up to you as well. I will also mention while I'm on this screen that we also have practice tests that are available. The practice tests are a wonderful way for you to really get an idea of what these new exams look like. You actually can go in, you can use it in a learning mode, so you test a little, figure out what it is you didn't do right, assuming you didn't do it correctly, but you can also take it in a test mode where it simulates the test. And so even though we try as best as we can, right, to simulate what that test experience will be like in terms of the questions, what really helps you prepare is kind of putting it in that test mode and acting like you're actually going through a certification. I'm showing, by the way, the path for Microsoft 365 today, but there are similar paths for the Azure roles that are out in market now. So please be sure that you check out that learning as well. I would also like to mention something that I skipped earlier. If you've taken one of our existing Azure certifications, so 532, 533, or 535, how many of you have taken those exams? Okay, great, a couple of you. We actually do have a transition plan for you in that space. So if you've taken 533 as an example, which is the administrator exam, there is a transition exam that's designed to help you prepare for that, to get into that new job role-based certification. We do not have a transition exam for Microsoft 365 because the delta between the Office exam we have in that space and what we're going to ask you to prove in certification for Microsoft 365 is actually too great. We do have a transition plan for some of the other certifications that'll be coming in this area going forward.